What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the studio. I am back. I know it's been a while. It's been a long break. Got a job. A bunch of other things have been happening. But I made time in my schedule to first of all watch the first two episodes of Never Have I Ever season 4, and then deciding to record a recap on it because I did recaps for season 2, skipped season 3 because stuff was busy. But now that we're in the summer, it's easier to record stuff. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to be talking about the first two episodes of Never Have I Ever season 4, the final season. It's crazy. These first two episodes really didn't feel much like a final season. I don't know, but I'm sure as the season progresses, we'll get more of that. So let's start out with episode 1, titled Never Have I Ever Lost My Virginity. So we start out, we find out that Davy and Ben did have sex. They lost both of their virginities, and it's super awkward. Ben kind of says he wants to go to sleep, and Davy gets up and wants to go home, and it's just super awkward. So then Davy tells her friends about it, and she sends a message to Ben asking to meet up at Starbucks later, and then meanwhile Ben is meeting with his NBA player, which was kind of random. I guess they just had to give him a scene partner, but it was still just kind of weird. And his name's Dwight Howard. He suggests that Ben find a girl that likes him for him and isn't gonna doesn't have drama around him, and someone that doesn't make him stressed out. Someone that actually wants to have a relationship. So then Ben responds to Davy and says that he's too busy and he can't meet up with her. So then we cut 3 months later, and it's time for senior year. We find out that Davy is going to Princeton, or she wants to go to Princeton. That is her goal, and so that's her that sets up some of the stuff for these first two episodes. And she gets a car from her mom, her mom's old car, so she gets that, and again, that sets up something for later on in the episode. We find out that Paxton is going to ASU, but he really misses high school. He misses Trent. He misses his friends. And his roommate really doesn't like him. And I was just kind of confused by that because Paxton's a really easygoing guy. So is it his race? Is that the problem? But it's not he's not black. And even so today, I don't know. It just kind of weirded me out. What's the problem with him? Is it because he's clearly not inexperienced with, and he's aware of everything. It's not like he's sheltered or anything, because I know that's kind of standoffish to some people, but he's just a normal guy, so I don't understand that if it's a race thing or whatever. But we don't, that's only in episode 1. Davy, she's still kind of awkward around Ben, because of everything that happened, and then we get introduced to these new group of guys. They're the bad boys, and the main guy is named Ethan. He's a skateboarding dude, and it seems like he's gonna have a pretty big role this season. Apparently he had a big glow up over the summer, and now all of the girls are noticing him. We find out that Trent and Eleanor are still together. And Eleanor is kind of blowing Trent off in a way. She's kind of ignoring him, neglecting him. I don't know. Obviously, she just doesn't seem as interested. Meanwhile, Trent really wants a future with her. Meanwhile, Davy goes to her AP class, and she meets with Dr. Keyes, and she only writes a couple of recommendation letters for each student because she has arthritis. Kind of random, but it sets Davy up on this mission. She gives her a gift. I don't even remember what the gift is, honestly, but she gives her a gift as a way to charm her, hopefully to get the recommendation letter from her. Let's see. And Dr. Keyes likes that, so that sets up good. So then we find out that Ben is still dating Margot, and Dave is really upset at that because it means that, or we don't really know. I thought at the end of season 3, Ben was getting with Margot, and I don't know if they were officially together before Ben hooked up with Davy, because that means he would have cheated. But we find out that Margot actually does know about their hookup, and she's fine with it. So maybe it wasn't cheating. Maybe they got together afterwards. But still, Davy's really upset, and understandably so, that Ben literally blew her off after their hookup, and now he's dating a new girl. That's kind of, I don't know. It's messed up. However, Davy is overreacting. I mean, and the thing is, we've known her to do that. She's always done it, so it's nothing surprising. He thought it was a one-time thing, and then Margot comes in and defends, and yeah, she says she reveals that they already told her, and then they kind of get into a heated argument when Dr. Keyes comes in, but then she passes out after hearing Davy talk about, um, like sex parts from the mail and all of that. It's just all over the place. So let's see. So then they're called into the principal's office, and Margot gives Davy an apology, and it's not really genuine, but I guess the principal Grubbs like accepts it enough. We see Trent, and he finds out that Eleanor wants to go to Juilliard, and move to England to pursue a career in theater. He's kind of worried. And then we get Robotics Club, and we find out that all of the applicants or whatever, all the club members are boys. There are no girls there, and she's kind of upset about that because she's the only girl and she's the leader. So then Davy meets with her therapist, um, and Davy's like complaining about Margot and Ben, and the doctor, Dr. Ryan recommends that, or is it Dr. Ryan recommends that Davy like write down everything that she's feeling on a piece of paper so she doesn't get in trouble, and instead like dealing with her anger in a different way than what she usually does. Meanwhile, we have Paxton at college, and he's feeling really left out. Doesn't really have any friends. And then Davy, the next day, she goes to school, and she apologizes to Margot for the weird stuff between them. And they are able to like work stuff out until Margot sees the paper with everything mean that Davy wrote about her, and that kind of like sends her away. And then we see Trent propose to Eleanor. This was crazy. I actually kind of saw it coming though. He just really likes her, and he doesn't want to lose her, and he kind of knows that she is destined for better things, and that they don't have much in common, honestly. I mean, I guess they do, but like she just has her whole future planned out kind of thing, and he is the opposite of that, and it's just not going to work out. So he proposes to her, but she declines and breaks up with him, and they're just kids, and she was just upset. She just wanted to have this relationship with him without him being all serious. And he doesn't want to hold her back, so they break up. So hopefully they'll get back together, because I actually thought they were like a weird couple, but I thought they were a good couple. But I do think that the proposal was the wrong move, in my opinion. So then we get Ben and Davy, and he apologizes for blowing her off over the summer. He claims that he's not sexually experienced, and it's his first time too, and he thought it sucked. So he was kind of in the same boat as her, and he was embarrassed by it. And he kind of says that he doesn't think they'll ever work out because they're so competitive. And Davy says, I can be that girlfriend that you want me to be, but he just says, I don't think it'll work out, and he's with Margot now. And so that he kind of like rejects her, and she's really upset about it, and then they leave, and then she sees that someone wrote "stupid bitch" on her car. So that's kind of the cliffhanger for episode 1, and we're all to assume that it's Margot. And that's how episode 1 ends. So episode 1 overall was good, a good introduction. So move on to episode 2. So I'm just pulling up an article because I didn't want to write down everything. So episode 2 starts off with Davy arriving home, and Melanie and Patty are there, and Davy is like defending herself, saying that she's the victim, and Melanie believes her, and they go in to talk to Principal Grubbs as well as Margot and her father. And Margot and her father, they're like, no, she didn't do it, because she has an alibi that she was in. Margot was in Professor Nooney's class when the incident took place. Davy's really upset when Grubbs says like it's okay for her to go. And then so like now Margot and Davy are like in this argument again, and Melanie's really upset that they're arguing over Ben Gross. She thinks that he's not worth it, which is kind of funny. We know that Melanie likes Ben, but I don't think she thinks he's all of that for her daughter, which I guess makes sense. He's not like the ideal type. He's definitely an odd one, but it's makes sense for the plot. So then we see Anissa again, and this was unexpected. I'm like, what role does she have anymore? Like, they really messed up her character. She came into season 2 with, like, very likable, very vibrant, very outgoing, and then she dated Ben, and that brought her characters on a lot. But it seemed like they were going to redeem her when they brought her and Fabiola together. But now, like, then they broke up, and now she just has nothing to do. It's kind of sad. Um, but pretty much she just tells Fabiola, and I don't understand why this couldn't be Eleanor, but whatever. Um, that apparently no females want to join the robotics club because of all of, like, the toxic masculine energy that Eric and the boys have been doing. And this kind of makes Fabiola realize that that is what's happening, and that is what is driving the girls away from the robotics club. Um, so then Davy, she's still trying to get into Princeton early. And the school is going on a trip to New York to apply for colleges. And she has to put a deposit down soon to book her seat, but she finds out that she won't be able to do that because she has to pay for the damages to her car. Because her mom is refusing to pay it for her because um, of what Davy said to Margot, like yelling at her and everything. So she thinks Davy should do it on her own. So now Davy's in her own dilemma. She goes to the repair shop. We find out that it's going to be $1,100 to get the spray paint off of her car, which is crazy. I'm like, no, a spray can get that. Some sort of spray thing it can get that off. Like, it doesn't cost that much money to get that off of your car. I knew that guy was a scam. I know that for sure. And then we see Kamala is back, and she comes home, and we find out that Patti is dating a white guy, and it's very, like, the fact that he's white is, like, very important, which I guess makes sense, but it's like she brings it up over and over again throughout the episode. It's pretty funny. And Kamala says that, she deserves it because, her husband died 20 years ago, and she deserves to move on, just like how Melanie deserves to move on, which we haven't really seen yet this season, but maybe she'll find love again. So yeah, that kind of sets up, and later on, Patti reveals it. So then Davy's upset that, she thinks it's all Margot's fault. She still thinks that she spray painted out on her car. But meanwhile, Eleanor is, like, really focused on Ethan. She's, like, crushing on him. I don't think he's all that. I think he's kind of weird, in fact. I mean, I just think his, like, personality would throw me off if I was a girl. Just, like, different than Paxton, who's, like, a nice person. But this Ethan dude he gives me weird vibes. And especially at the end. So yeah, that's Eleanor's new crush, and that sets up something for later on. So then we see Davy and Ben. And, she still thinks Margot vandalized the car, and she wants Ben to stand up for her. Because they are friends, and that kind of sends Ben into, like, what he does next. And then Davy overhears, like, I guess Professor Nooney, and she was out yesterday, so Margot wouldn't have had class with her, so that ruins her alibi. So she finds out that she lied. So then Ben talks to Margot, and he asks her again whether she spray painted Davy's car. And she's really upset, and she doesn't think that he trusts her. But we see that he still cares about Davy a lot, and in fact, he does like Davy way more than Margot. The fact that he is talking to her about this instead of just believing her. And then in class, Eleanor is still, like, infatuated with Ethan, and then Ethan notices that his handwriting on the class board is the same as the one on her car. So then she goes into the principal's office where Margot is meeting with Grubbs, and she pretty much defends her and everything, but the Grubbs is done with Davy. She's done with all of her drama. She lets Margot off the hook. Ben's frustrated at the whole situation, and I kind of felt bad for Davy in a way because, I don't think that the yelling from Grubbs helped, but you also have to think about it, like, Davy does cause trauma every single day. But yeah, let's see. So then we have Fabiola, and she visits a science lab, and we find out that she went to class, one of the club, and all of the guys were mean to one of the girls. They're just not for girls joining. They're just so obsessed with themselves, which is pretty much accurate. There's so many guys who are like that. So then Fabiola realizes that she has to like change the culture of her club. And then we see Ben talking to Davy, and we find out that Margot doesn't want them speaking again, and that makes Davy really upset. So we'll see what happens there. I'm sure they'll still talk though, and that'll mess up things with him and Margot. So then Davy confronts Ethan, and he wants him to clean up her car, and so he agrees to. We see Paxton come into school. He's in for an interview, so maybe he's going to join his position, which is kind of predictable. We'll see. We see that girl from the science lab joining, and Fabiola calls Eric and his friends out for being so toxic, and they agree to do better, especially after she challenges him. He doesn't know everything there is to know about robotics, like he says. Patty tells the whole family that she's dating someone. They're all happy for her. Then Ethan comes out, and he promises to pay for the damages on Davy's car. And then they like to start to flirt a little bit, but Davy is hesitant because one, he's a bad boy, and two, Eleanor likes him. So I'm like, why are we still doing this? This is the last season. Like, I don't think we should still be focusing on like friendship drama with the girls. Like, I feel like that should be over with. And like, why are we introducing a new guy too? Like, there's been like, sorry about that, but to kind of wrap it all up, I don't think there should be all this like relationship drama with the girls, but I guess we'll see where it goes. I'm still a firm believer that Davy and Ben are endgame. I just feel like that makes the most sense, but I could be wrong. I just don't think Paxton and Davy make much sense anymore. But yeah, I like the first two episodes. I'm excited to watch more. In fact, I'm getting ready to watch more right now once I finish editing this. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Comment down below your thoughts and everything. A lot of drama. And I'll be back soon with my next recap. So thanks everyone for watching the studio. Like, comment, subscribe, and bye everyone.